It's been a beloved landmark since the 1800s. This week on the 302, we pull back the curtain and see what's new at the Grand Opera House. Get ready to warm up those pipes. The 302 is just a song away. Hey 302, I'm Jackie Ferris. We are at the Grand Opera House talking about all the fabulous things that are coming up for 2020. And I'm joined now by the Executive Director, Mark Fields. Thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be with you, Jackie.
This is such an iconic place. I understand that it was one of the first performing arts, one of the first formal performing arts venues in Wilmington, is that right?
It was. It was built in 1871, which was just 6 years after the end of the Civil War. And it was really kind of a crazy idea to build an elaborate opera house like this in what was essentially a frontier town. But the city fathers and the Masons decided they wanted to do something to put Wilmington on the map to compete with Philadelphia and Baltimore. And so they built this beautiful opera house right on Market Street. It's patterned on the Paris Opera House in France, and it's a beautiful facade and a beautiful building, and 148 years later we're still here.
And when you walk in, you see the grand staircase, you see go into the theater, and it really takes you back. It's really well preserved.
Well, it is well preserved, and that's due to a group of city fathers and mothers, quite frankly, that back in the 1970s they decided that this opera house needed to be restored. Over the years, from when it opened until the 1960s, it had fallen into terrible disrepair, as much of downtown had been. But they decided in the early 1970s that they were going to revive the opera house as a way of reviving Wilmington, and they did a beautiful job. And since 1976, when the theater reopened, more than 2.5 million people have come through our doors.
Now, I understand that a part of the decline was because there was a little competition down the street.
Well, at one point there was a lot of competition. The Grand functioned as a movie theater for many years, and at one point there were 14 movie theaters in downtown Wilmington. But bit by bit they closed. The Queen, which is is now a nightclub, had been a movie theater, but it closed in the 1950s. The Grand stayed open, but had really fallen into terrible disrepair and badly needed a facelift. But we take very good care of this building now after all the time and sweat and energy that's been invested in it, and we're still here to serve the community.
Sure. Now tell me a little bit about the Baby Grand.
Well, the Baby Grand is part of our Jocko building, which is the second building that was built immediately adjoining this. It also, at one point, that space was occupied by a movie theater, but the building was completely torn down. And the Baby Grand seats 300. Our main theater, what we call Copeland Hall, seats 1,200. And it's a perfect complement in space. We do a lot of emerging artists in there, singers, songwriters, children's programming, family programming. And even though it's a relatively new space, we designed it in a way that it complements the original theater. And of course, we also have a third venue down the street that we operate, the Playhouse on Rodney Square, which was at one point called the DuPont Theater and was run by the DuPont Company, but we took over management of that in 2015, and that's where we do all of our Broadway shows. So between the three theaters and all of the space that supports that in these beautiful buildings, we have about 200,000 square feet of space on Market Street devoted to the arts.
Now, we are in a very special space. We are in the 9th Muse, and that's a donor lounge. And we're going to tell folks how they can be a donor a little bit later. But tell me the story of how this lounge got its name.
Well, there are 8 of the 9 muses of Greek mythology in a mural on the ceiling of the Grand Opera House, but there's a 9th one that's missing. We did a lot of research about 10, 15 years ago and found out that the one that was missing was Euterpe, who is the muse of music. I guess the idea was the muse of music was so well represented by what happened on stage, they didn't need to put her in the mural. But when we opened this room, we wanted to create a space for our donors and our VIPs to enjoy the theater and come and relax a little bit before the show. And it gave us an opportunity to bring the Ninth Muse back into the building. So we call this room the Ninth Muse, and we have a painting of Euterpe in the hallway.
As you should. And along with the painting, you have posters of the various artists, throughout the years, just to showcase exactly what a gem this place is and what rich talent you guys bring.
Exactly. We brought a lot of talent through these doors over the last 10, 12 years, the period of time I've been here, but going back to the 1970s when the Grand reopened. And this is just a little taste of all of the artists that have been here, and we have to change these posters on a regular basis just to keep up with the new stars that come in.
So who is coming in?
Oh, that was a good segue, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
We've got Sinbad coming in February. We also have the Manhattan Transfer, that great harmony vocal group, is coming for Valentine's Day. Louis Black, the terrific political comedian, is coming in late February. We also have Gaelic Storm, which is this wonderful Irish party band. They originally appeared in the movie Titanic. They're also coming in February. The end of February, we've got Sweet Honey in the Rock, a gospel group. It's really terrific. But, any month is like that, Jackie, here, and we can't pick a highlight of what's coming up because every week we announce a new artist that's coming sometime in the next coming months, and it keeps us fresh and always something interesting going on here.
So if someone wants to watch the website and they want to get really good tickets, is there a special day when you announce new arrivals?
You never know when we're going to announce a show. A lot of it is driven by when the artists want to announce their appearances. And so the thing is, just sign up for our e-newsletter, and you'll get notices when we're announcing shows, and it gives you an opportunity to get in first.
So if someone wants to sign up for the newsletter or find out, what's going on this weekend, where do they go?
They just go to our website, thegrandwilmington.org.
Mark, thank you very much for joining us. This really is a beautiful room.
Our pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jean from Nemours Estate, and I love learning about history on the 302.
Welcome back. We're talking about all the great things there are to see and do here at the Grand, and I'm joined by Pam Minacchio, and she is the Director of Community Engagement. Pam, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Now, a lot of what happens here is really community and family centered. Talk to me about that.
Yes, the Grand has really expanded its family programming this season, and so we've added on some really exciting new options for families to come see shows and live entertainment here at the Grand. Coming up, we have a really fun show that's over in the Baby Grand. It's called David Engel's Star Force Academy. So we're playing off of the new release of the Star Wars movie.
Sure.
And we are giving younger children an opportunity to come and costume and bring their lightsabers and participate in the show and enjoy a spoof comedy magic show playing off of the theme of Star Wars. And then in March we have another show for young children that's called Havana Hop, and that combines hip hop and dance, a lot of salsa and different styles of Latin dance, with a storytelling that introduces children to the Latin culture that can be found in Havana. So that's another fun production for young children and families. And then in April, we are doing a collaboration with the Delaware Art Museum. And they're presenting a dance troupe called Step Africa, and they were here 2 years ago, and it was really wonderfully successful show. The community loved seeing Step Africa. They're doing a performance called Drum Folk, which has some historic themes in it, and the step dancing is really exciting, and our community loves that. So we like partnering with Delaware Art Museum to be able to bring in some new different types of programs there.
So you guys take community engagement seriously, obviously.
Very serious and very fun at the same time. And we're also focused on making our shows more accessible to all types of families. So we started presenting some programs in a sensory-friendly tradition, which means we provide some special accommodations that make it easier for a child with autism to come in, and they can enjoy a performance where the house lights stay on at a low level, and the children are allowed to move around in their seats. They can change their seats or pick any seat in the house that they'd like to sit in. They're allowed to make noises and vocalize during the performance. So it's just a much more relaxed atmosphere, so that what was previously may have been a challenging environment for somebody with autism or other disabilities like that. We try to make it easier for them to come in and enjoy live theater together with their families, because that's such an important part of a family life, is to be able to do things together.
You know, that's pretty innovative, because I know that when you have a child that's on the spectrum, you don't have a lot of options. And if you do, a lot of times kids, they'll, for instance, if noises bother them, they wear the headphones, and it can be uncomfortable for a family. So this is like an environment where they can come and have fun,
watch
and just
a show, participate,
be a normal kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a couple of performances we have that are sensory friendly are also in the Baby Grand, and they feature a musical artist named Dan Zanes, which parents might be familiar with him and his music videos on TV.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about him.
So Dan recently married to Claudia Eliaza, so it's now called the Dan and Claudia Zanes Show, and they'll be performing music from his popular songbook and a new CD that came out recently. And again, completely sensory friendly, and he is so open to children and letting them do whatever they want to do in the aisles, get up and dancing and singing along with his music. So that should be a really fun show for all the ages.
Sure. Now, I know that you guys also work with the schools in bringing, tying lessons into theater and song and dance, right?
Yes, we do a lot of Stages of Discovery is the name of the program. And we bring in about 14 different productions in a year that all tie back to some classroom curriculum in some way. We focus on every age from pre-K through 8th grade, and school groups are coming from all over the state and even across the state lines. And we provide teachers some study guides to help them bring the lessons back into their classrooms. And they have all sorts of lessons that cover literature and social and emotional learning, history, really good lessons that can be learned from the stage. So a lot of students may not be able to pay attention in class very well, but they can come to the theater and see something come to life right before their eyes. So the learning is enhanced by their participating in live theater.
Because if it's fun, you remember it.
Exactly.
So that's pretty clever. Definitely. But what about the parents and the adults, kids of all ages, I suppose? I know that you have a lot of programming, a lot of dancing for adults.
We do. We've got dancing, we've got social dances in a space that very few people know about. It's called Studio One on the 3rd floor. And it's a big studio, a dance floor. We have a cash bar and a DJ and dance instructors that help you if you're not familiar with country line dancing. We do salsa nights and rueda, which are both forms of Latin dancing, and then later in June we're going to have a 70s disco night. So that's going to be super fun for all types of kids and adults that like to come out and dance.
So grab that disco ball and come on down. So if somebody wants to find out about these dances for adults or the sensory program, where do they go?
All the programs are listed on our website. It's thegrandwilmington.org. And there's a section on the menu called Education and Community. So anything under Education and Community, folks can learn more details there, or just reach out to us at the staff, and we'll be happy to answer those questions.
Well, Pam, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula Phipps, and I love having the 302 here at beautiful Nemours Estate.
Welcome back. We've talked about the history, the shows, and the programming, but it takes a lot of money to keep something this awesome going. We're joined now by Jennifer French. She is the Director of Development. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So it's got to be a constant job to make enough cash to keep the show going, right?
Yes. Yes, and it's not just the shows on stage, it's also our community engagement programs as well, because it's very important to us at the Grand to really be able to engage our local community and the region.
So you have a couple of big events throughout the year. The Gala, tell me about the Gala.
So the Grand Gala we're actually celebrating our 43rd in 2019. Our 44th will be in 2020. It's always the first Saturday in December. And we put on a concert here at the Grand Opera House, and then afterward everyone goes up to the Hotel DuPont for the ultimate after party. So we take over every public space in the Hotel DuPont with themed rooms, themed food, different music. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to celebrate the end of the year and the programs that we're doing here.
And in the summertime you have a golf outing, is that right?
Yes, it's usually in June.
Okay.
Yes, so we just did our first annual golf outing and had such a great success with that we're doing another one this year at the DuPont Country Club.
That'd be fun,
Yes.
especially for golfers and people who enjoy the sport. But it takes a lot more than just 2 events. You really drive for membership every year, right?
Yes. Our individual donors are so very important to us. And we try to give them some benefits and perks as well to show them how much we appreciate, because every single dollar counts. Like, there's no amount that is too little. And so, for example, if you donate $150 or more, you get early access to buying tickets. So if you have a favorite artist that's coming, it's worth it to spend that little extra donation. It's tax deductible, and then you can get your tickets before everyone else to get in the front row.
So is it just something like, say, what if are there other tiers that you can donate for bigger perks? Or?
Oh, there's so many. So each tier, you can start at $50. And then you get your name in the program book, and then we have the 150 where you have early access. Then we have our 365 Club, which is $1 a day, and we have a special VIP lounge for our 365 members and above. And then our $2,500 level is the Sarah Bernhardt level. We call them the Sarah B Society. And they have a dinner and special tickets to events. So the list goes on, and we have different levels in between as well. So all that information you can find on our website or contacting me at the Grand.
That's pretty clever, $1 a day. I mean, it's really affordable if you think about it for what you get here at the Grand.
Right, because you can come to the VIP donor lounge ahead of time and enjoy a complimentary cocktail. But the other thing that's really interesting to me is that it's called the 9th Muse, because there are 9 muses in the arts. There are 8 on the ceiling here, because the masons who built the building believe in symmetry. So the 9th Muse is our VIP lounge. And you can go there ahead of time, have a complimentary cocktail, and people who come to the same types of shows like comedy or country music, they come and see the same people over and over again, and friendships are formed. It's amazing.
And it's amazing how many different shows there are, just the wide variety from children's to adults, dancing, things like that. So there's usually something for everybody. So that donation is more than worth it.
Yes, absolutely. There's something for everybody here, definitely.
And you were saying something about the ticket prices, and you guys don't actually benefit off of the ticket prices themselves. Explain how that all works out.
So that's really an interesting thing that I didn't realize until I started working here, is that the artists are the ones that set the ticket prices, and then the artists themselves get anywhere from 75 cents to 95 cents on the dollar. So that's why preservation fees are incredibly important to us, because that's what pays our utility bills and makes those shows possible.
So whenever you're talking about preservation fees, there are also other expenses. Like, it's got to cost a lot to keep a building that was built in 1871,
Right.
You know, keep everything looking nice and clean and restored.
And we have to do it under the historical perimeters as well. So that makes it challenging. This year we had to replace all of the front windows because there was so much cold getting in. But we couldn't do double pane glass because it's not historically accurate.
So is that something that, in addition to memberships, do you have to rely on grants or what are other things that you're going after in terms of funding?
So sponsorships are something that we're looking into expanding much more and offering small business sponsorships as well.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of the reasons why the golf tournament was such an exciting opportunity for us, because the whole sponsors at $150 a whole sponsor was extremely affordable in comparison to the $75,000 Broadway sponsorship for presenting. So we are expanding more to get some lower level sponsorships available. But we also, not just for events, because we were doing just sponsorships for events. Now we're talking about doing them for the shows that we do on stage here as well.
So there's something, not just for entertainment, but in helping out and keeping this valuable resource, the community going, whether you're an individual or you're a business. How do they find out more if they say, you know, I want to help this gem keep going? What do they do?
Well, you can go on to the grandwilmington.org, and there is a Donate Now button right up at the top. But one thing I wanted to add, because we're talking about the revitalization of downtown Wilmington and how much impact we actually have on the city, there was a study done on our economic impact, and studies have shown that the average patron spends around $30.41 on outside services just to be able to come downtown. So whether that be a restaurant, babysitting, parking, something along those lines, it just keeps the economy churning, which is a lovely, lovely point.
It sure is. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back. That'll do it for this show. We leave you now with a walk down memory lane. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. We'll see you on the 302.